Hi everyone! Today I am playing Dimir Midrange. So, what is it that makes this deck different from a Dimir control deck? The most important difference is the presence of some smaller creatures. We have Thief of Sanity in the main deck at 3, and Hostage Taker at 4. To make room for these cards, we've cut down on a little of the card advantage. We only have one Chemister's Insight and one Disinformation Campaign. But both of these creatures can be massive card advantage on their own, so that's not as much of an issue. The main thing that got me interested in this deck, actually, was the presence of 2 Dive Down, which is just really good with these, because the only reason these creatures aren't excellent and in the main deck anyway is because most opponents are going to have some form of removal, and so they're just going to kill it, and you're not going to get ahead, and that's not really where you want to be. But instead, what we have is this little 1-mana instant, so we can say, wait till turn 4 to play Thief of Sanity, then protect it with Dive Down, and hopefully run away with the game. Beyond that, the deck's pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of the best interaction we can come up with. Unconditional discard spells with some card selection attached, cool. A sweeper for small creatures. This will be great against black-green when they play out all their explore dudes. Vraska's Contempt answers just about everything, and Discovery Dispersal is just card selection and sometimes a bounce spell. So that's pretty cool. Mana, pretty straightforward. I'm not totally certain on this detection tower. Whoever came up with this deck was really scared of Carnage Tyrant, but the mana's pretty good, so I think you can afford one colorless land. This might be better spent as like a Field of Ruin against control decks. It's hard to actually say. That said, Carnage Tyrant is extremely good against us. Basically, our only answers are the Eldest Reborn and trying to block with Doom Whisperer, and neither of those are great plans against black-green, but still not entirely certain effectively paying 6 mana with this and Vraska's Contempt is where we want to be. Anyway, I'll at least try it out before I make too much of a judgment. In the sideboard, we have Duress, Disdainful Stroke, and Negate for control decks, Fungal Infection for aggro decks. Not entirely certain what Blink of an Eye is for. Maybe like the mono blue deck, if they have a Curious Obsession on a creature, you want to bounce it. Seems a little odd to me. Then a little more interaction to go with the Fungal Infections against aggro, and against other mid-rangey grindy decks, Disinformation Campaign, and the 3rd and 4th Eldest Reborns will let us just really pull ahead. Both of these cards pack a massive punch. So yeah, just another mid-range deck, pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and get into the games. Alright, getting into the first match with Dimir Midrange. I really do love mid-range decks, and both Thief of Sanity and Hostage Taker are a couple of my favorite cards in the format, so I'm excited to play this. Sand might just get run over and die, but we have a synergy in our hand. It's really slow, but at least we have something to do on turn 4 anyway. Go ahead and keep this. We may get brutally punished for my decision. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and see what's going on over there. Okay. Well. I'm gonna go ahead and take one of the Tempest Djinns and hope they just tap out for the other one on turn 3 so we can take it with the Hostage Taker. The Eldest Reborn. This is good against Dive Down. Kinda bad against their deck in general. I think I will keep it though. Like, we're not gonna do anything next turn, which kinda sucks, but then we have turn 4 and 5 accounted for with card advantage and stuff to do. Please don't have a play. Okay. That was the one turn where we really wanted to dodge them having something good. I think we might be in a good spot here now. Anticipate? Okay. Huh. This doesn't look quite like the mono blue tempo deck with like Mistcloaked Heralds and Curious Obsession and stuff. I don't think they play that many cantrips. Huh. Not tapping out for that guy. Okay. Well, I'm fine playing that game, because we get to draw 2 cards on their end step, and then if they just play this guy with dive down back up. If we hit our land drop, we get to Eldest Reborn it, and if we don't, we get to Ritual of Soot. So. Either way, I am fine with playing the Drago game. I assume they're going to play their Jhin here. Maybe not, though. They have 4 unknowns, and we're not entirely certain what their deck is doing. Okay, they're still scared. Maybe they found a second dive down and they want to hold up 2? Or maybe they have some sort of counterspell? Probably not. I have to imagine they would have countered this. Okay. Again, I can just pass here. I don't have to do anything. I will probably discard one of the Rituals of Soot. Okay. That explains why they'd pass there. Now I'm incentivized actually to pitch the other Eldest Reborn. Because I think we're going to want to Ritual away multiple creatures in the near future. Yep, sure. That's kind of funny. We can use that to get through a dive down at some point. Yeah. Huh, and we can, like, even just activate it beforehand. That's really funny to me. So, I think I'm just going to attempt to Ritual here. It still leaves us 2 mana up, so if they have, like, a Negate, we can still cast down the Jhin. Or they can just have nothing, and we just get our 2-for-1. Cool. We are way up on cards. That's really funny that I talked about this card entirely in the context of Carnage Tyrant, but it's actually just great against Dive Down. Alright. Again, still just okay with playing Draw Go. We're way up on cards, and all of our cards are good against what they are trying to do. If they want to dive down this creature, I'm just gonna... Well, I'm actually going to get full value here. This means that the dive down will still give +0/+3, so we still can't just trade the fungus for it, but I can just then cast it down and we just get our fungus out of this, so. So yeah, Detection Tower, very good against mono blue dive down. Maybe this card isn't as bad as I thought. Huh, I just realized that that depicts Mirrodin. It's like in Glimmer Void or that type of card. All the hexagons. Come on, play another creature. I just want to start getting this game over with. You know what? That is acceptable. I can Thought Erasure and then Hostage Taker plus recast their Mistcloaked Herald. Huh. Sure. I can't resist a 2-for-1. I'm okay with not Hostage Takering immediately. Let's go ahead and do this. Ah, we tapped our thing, so now I can't target it. Oh well, we will wait until next turn. Oh, that's cool with me. I can use that to find something to close the game. We've basically got them, like, out of this game. They would need an extremely good sequence of draws to get us here. It would have to be, like, Curious Obsession into something powerful. Yeah. Alrighty. Fungal Infection looks pretty good. Because they did have the Mistcloaked Herald, they probably have Siren Storm Tamers and stuff like that as well. Duress is such a mixed bag, because it kind of feels necessary to cut through, like, the dive downs and the spell pierces and stuff like that. But on the other hand, it's so blah. Like, most of their deck still is creatures. So, go ahead and cut Golden Demise. I think we're looking to Ritual of Soot for that type of effect. This is okay if they play a lot of the 1/1s, but it doesn't kill the Djinn, and that's their scariest creature. I'm going to cut the Disinformation Campaign, I think. They have, like, no removal, so our creatures should be enough to generate some card advantage and run away with the game that way. Maybe one Duress is acceptable. Just, this might whiff, but it also might take a key dive down, and then we can just play our other stuff how we want. I think Ritual of Soot should make this a pretty easy matchup, although they will be boarding in Spell Pierce and Negate and stuff like that. Okay. Our best card selection, and a win condition. Sweet. Really want to find, like, a discard spell, like a Duress or a... What is it? Thought Erasure? Although that can even blank a Thought Erasure, so that's a little rough, but... We have some time. Hopefully they don't just stick a Curious Obsession here. Cool. That would have been the easiest way for us to lose the game. No land. Hostage Taker seems fine. What I might actually do, I think I'm going to wait a little while on the Ritual of Soot. I'm just going to try to run out my creatures and just win with having superior creatures. Okay. And the reason I wanted to do it this way is because either Thief of Sanity comes down and just kind of trumps their board, or they have a counterspell and we start running them out of counters to resolve the ritual later. Yep, they have another counter. We have flooded out a bit here, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's the way it goes sometimes. So hopefully they're out. Like, that's all we can really hope for. Kind of have to do this. Yep. 1-drop, 2-drop, triple counter is going to be good against us if we flood out. Not a whole lot we could have done this game. We could have waited on the Ritual of Soot, but like, and I guess we would have been rewarded for that, but they haven't been hitting their land drops and they haven't been playing more creatures, so for all we know, this is just 4 more counter spells. That said, if they don't have that much more, if this is like a bunch of Tempest Djinns and stuff... Oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna take the Wizard's Retort. Okay. That kind of gets us back into the game. Not really, though. Yeah, that was a lot of counter spells. This one's interesting. I guess this is the anti-Settle the Wreckage counter. Alright, land drop. Hostage Taker. Can't imagine this is going to work. Like, at the very least, they can just sack this to counter the ability. Yep, dive down, sure. Now we're just taking 1 a turn, so we have a few more turns, as long as they don't find a Curious Obsession. We have 2 more turns. Ugh, oh boy. This game has not gone well for us. Draw 10 lands and 17 cards, and that includes getting rid of one with the Discovery? That's kind of brutal. Alright, they missed their land drop. Okay. Another Ritual of Soot would have possibly gotten us back in there, but Whew, that did not go well. So, we know that they definitely have all the 1-drops now. Does that change anything? Maybe we're actually just supposed to go deeper on the sweepers? Like, I think maybe I was playing too scared of Tempest Gen, and we just need, like, a bunch of ways to try to clear out all the little guys, so... I rescind what I said earlier, we're gonna try it like this. The reason I'm not boarding in, like, negates to fight their negates is that's kind of the axis they want to win on anyway. Like, if we're waiting until turn 6 to cast a Ritual of Soot with counter backup, that is really unlikely to actually work out well for us. Oh. This hand is obviously great, so I'm definitely going to keep it. The question is whether I save some life by getting the Watery Grave down on 1, or if I play the Swamp to leave up Fungal Infection to just clear out a creature as soon as possible. I'm gonna go with the Swamp. Because, like, if they play a Siren Storm Tamer or a Herald and we can just kill it and then untap and take a card, we'll be really far ahead. Instead, that did not happen, so I'm gonna have to take 2 damage, basically for no reason. That's a little sad, but whatever. Okay, what do we got here? Protect their person, Merfolk Trickster. We can trade with this with a Fungal Infection, so that's okay. Opt, Anticipate, Negate. I'm gonna take the Negate because that's so obvious. Or do I? Might actually take Dive Down just so Hostage Taker can nab this thing. Yeah, Do we want 5th land? Not really. Oh, but I initially kind of dismissed taking Dive Down because we have the Detection Tower. Like, we can get around this if we really want to. But, yeah, I just think the Negate doesn't really do anything here. It's possible we just took the... We're supposed to take the Merfolk Trickster so they didn't have any sort of threat. But yeah, I just really like to be able to Hostage Taker, and right now the Negate doesn't do anything, so... Anticipate instead of the Trickster, okay. That's an odd decision. Because the Trickster would have tapped this, so they could have gotten in for some damage. I guess they're preparing to Trickster this turn. I assume... Wow, they're letting me attack with this, okay. Oh, okay, it's going to make it lose all abilities. So that even if I hit them, I won't get the trigger. Let's see if they try to block. If they do, I'm going to Fungal Infection this guy. And we even have the Detection Tower to get around Dive Down. So either way, they are not getting my Thief of Sanity, and if they don't have a Dive Down, they're going to lose their Trickster here too. Yep, okay. Still have to do this because we do need the Shrink effect from Fungal Infection, otherwise we'd lose our Thief. Yep, sure. Hopefully they do not have another one of those. That would be kind of bad for us. Well, we have to try. Do I attack with this? I don't know. I'm not sure whether the 1 damage matters. Go ahead and leave it back for now. Okay, we got there. Cool. Steal something sweet. Oh, these definitely count. I like the idea of this. I think, though, I'm just going to take the Siren Storm Tamer, because we can now cast it, and it can protect our Thief, which is cool. Now I'm feeling a little bitten with... We ended up getting a little blown out by a second dive down anyway, and playing around this negate is, like, getting a little awkward, but... let's see, do I hold this up and, like, cast this, or do I Hostage Taker? That uses my mana pretty efficiently, and even if they counter it, it gives us a good blocker against the Trickster, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. Yep, sure. Whatever. Put double block here. We're tapped out, so if they want to mess with my Thief, we can't stop that this turn anyway. Just, yeah, getting their pressure off the board is really good. Now this is kind of exactly where we want to be. We are just going to accumulate tons of cards off of this. Merfolk Trickster seems awesome. I can go ahead and Discovery here. It means we don't have Contempt up, but we still do have Trickster. Take 1 land. 6 seems good with all the 4 and 2 things we have available to us. And now we can Vraska's Contempt. Yeah! Was a little worried after the second game, but the deck just seems to be doing its thing now. I think I'd rather just get the pressure going, shorten the clock. That was apparently worth the Wizard's Retort, so okay. Oh my, that will end the game very quickly. So. The only problem with casting Doom Whisperer now is it means we don't have Essence Scatter, but they were going to negate our Essence Scatter anyway, so I'm going to play our Giant Demon. Yep, and they pack it in. Alright, the first and third games made the deck look very good. We just kind of got to do whatever we wanted. So yeah, that was sick. I'll be back in a minute with another one. Okay, match 2. I hope we get to run away with the game with Thief of Sanity again. That card is really fun. Play first. Yeah, this hand looks pretty good to me. Card selection, Sweeper, Protection for a big monster. I've probably mentioned before, but one of my favorite cards ever is Gonti, Lord of Luxury. And the fact that Thief of Sanity basically gets a Gonti trigger every time it attacks is so awesome. Okay, go ahead and Discovery. We want to keep hitting our land drops here. Possibly Boros Angels over there. Whoa. Going to throw away the second Ritual, keep the Discovery. And go ahead and dig again next turn. It also might just be like a Jeskai control deck. Yep. It's like that's what it is. I'm glad we binned that other Ritual of Soot. Suddenly our hand looks much worse. Our deck has the tools to win this matchup, but they are not the cards that we have right now. Keeping a Vraska's Contempt, because the easiest way to lose this match is if they just run away with the game with a Teferi. Yeah, like if we had stuck a Disinformation Campaign there instead of casting Discovery, we would be in a much better spot this game. That is not really what our deck is set up to do, though. Okay, looks like they're holding up a counter. I am fine with that since we didn't have anything to do anyway. Next turn is going to kind of suck because they will almost certainly have 4 mana available, and so we're really incentivized to run out something that's a juicy target for a counter, like a Doom Whisperer, because otherwise they just get to cast Chemister's Insight or whatever, and then they're really far ahead. Land 4. Well, okay. The way this is going to go is they're going to counter our Doom Whisperer, and then they're going to untap and play Teferi, and then it will untap 2 lands, which they'll use to counter our Vraska's Contempt, and then the game is over. That is how it goes against these decks. We didn't get to do anything relevant for the first few turns, have a couple dead cards, and like just didn't do anything that mattered until turn 5. They didn't have the Teferi. Well, that is fine by me. Again, we're incentivized to run out a big threat, because otherwise they'll Chemister's Insight and be too far ahead. This is very unlikely to work, though. This matchup just seems extremely hard. Game 1, all of our cards are not good. Yeah, Syncopate, sure. As soon as they get some sort of card advantage going, like they flip this or get a Teferi down, I'll go ahead and pack it in. game is mostly over. Wow, and they're the main deck Niv Mizzet version. This matchup is even harder than I thought. Although Hostage Taker against Niv Mizzet lines up really well, so that's kind of funny. So maybe that's a reason to wait. If they don't immediately have a kill spell for this, we'll get to recast their Niv, and then we're very far ahead. Okay, and they didn't have a Chemister's Insight, so I look like a fool for throwing these away every time. I assume because they binned Niv Mizzet that they have another one in hand. This is like the best card ever in control matchups, so... Treasure map. Wow, they have a lot of card advantage in this deck. Fortunately, Hostage Taker can take artifacts. Let's try to do this. Come on. We even have a dive down, so if they try to use a removal spell instead, we'll just be ahead that way. Dang it! Alright, I'm gonna call it there. We have nothing going on, and they're gonna draw all the cards in the world. Don't need to give them the satisfaction. Duress, in. Negate, in. Disdainful Stroke, in. Disinformation Campaign, in. Fungal Infection, out. Cast Down, out. Sweepers, out. Hostage Taker, I'll leave in a couple because it's still good against Niv and Treasure Map, but it's really bad against everything else. Go up another Eldest Reborn. This is a good answer for Niv and Teferi. Alright. We still got a bit of removal, which is not incredible, but... And Dive Down, the current control decks are much more counter-based than they have been in the past. Like, they probably just have, like, 8 to 10 main deck counters. And so Dive Down isn't as good as it might have been in a different format. But I still think it's serviceable. They probably still have some red or white removal. Either, like, Justice Strike or Ixalan's Binding or something like that. I suppose for that reason, when I cast the second Doom Whisperer, I should have shocked in the Watery Grave, because it doesn't play around Syncopate, because they could have just Syncopated for 2, but it would play around if they had like a Justice Strike. This hand seems sweet. We might not actually Thought Erasure on 2, because we'll want to pick up some Disinformation Campaigns. That might be greedy, though. Like, maybe we're just supposed to clear the way for a counter so we can resolve these. Kinda wish we had a little more Surveil in this deck. Although then we're just, like, not even a mid-range deck anymore. We're just the Dimir control deck. Yeah, I really want a Thought Erasure to snag a Treasure Map or a Search for Azcanta before those get going. Those are not what they have. Dang. These cards are both really tough to beat. I'll take Teferi, because he comes down earlier. Do not want the 6th land. Sure, there's some argument for taking Sinister Sabotage, but, like, they won't have that up until turn 3, so it just helps our second Disinformation Campaign get through, and that's kind of whatever. I think it was either Teferi or Niv was the correct thing to take there. Alright. Go! Well, that was not a great draw, but... Ideally, we will draw another Thought Erasure, and so next turn we'll Disinformation Campaign, and then turn 5, Thought Erasure, pick them both up, recast one. Disinformation Campaign! Yep, they go ahead and counter it, that's fine. Again, ideal next turn would be a Thought Erasure, so we can just get way up on cards. But if not, we can always just cast our big dumb monster. We have pressured their resources pretty effectively. Okay, well, if they play a Niv or a Teferi, we have an answer. If this resolves, we're just off to the races. Okay, maybe. Because this can pick up Disinformation Campaign at any time for essentially no cost. So that's cool. Yeah, go ahead and pass the turn. On their end step, I will scry with Doom Whisperer, picking this up. What do they have? They need something really good here, otherwise I'm going to pick this up, play it, pick it up again, play it again, and just be so ahead on cards. Meanwhile, I also have a 6/6 Flying Trample that's going to end the game pretty fast. Okay. Let me go ahead and do this. These both seem great. Even if we lose our Doom Whisperer, Discovery lets us pick up the Disinformation Campaign again. Alright, what do you got? Oh, this was actually a mistake. I should have Disinformation Campaigned first. They can expansion on my Duress. Yeah, and they're gonna get my campaign. Good heads-up play by the opponent. I made a mistake here, and I'm gonna get punished. Goodbye, card advantage engine. I was thinking that I wanted to, oh boy. Well, at least, oh, they took the Eldest Reborn. Wow, okay. Well, let's try to find another Eldest Reborn. Normally, the, Dispersal part of... Yep. Normally, the Dispersal part of Discovery Dispersal can act as an answer to cards like this, but not against Niv Mizzet, because when you cast Dispersal, they will draw a card, and so they can choose to discard that one instead of discarding Niv. So, we do need to find, like, another Eldest Reborn. Lands? No, thank you. No, one more. That seems cool. I don't think we need another... Maybe we do just need another demon. Yeah, let's do like this. So we can do shock this in. Disinformation Campaign. They will probably pitch whatever this is. Yep, Disdainful Stroke, sure. We get down our Thief. Bam. Now we have lethal on board, a protection spell, and another giant demon that, like, we can just attack with this. Resolves. Not today. And that's the game. Cool. Discard spells are very good when you both have sufficient sources of card advantage, because we just picked them apart and there was not a lot they could do about it. I don't think we want the 4th Eldest Reborn, that's too much of that. Maybe we want it over the Vraska's Contempt, though? It is better against Niv. Huh. Sure, I'll buy that. Let's go with this. We drew a lot of our good cards there, and I even made one pretty crucial mistake, but they did not punish us for it, strangely. Like, they took the Eldest Reborn, they kind of put all of their bets on Niv Mizzet, whereas I think they could have taken the Disinformation Campaign and cut off our source of card advantage, and then I think they would have just played a real game against us pretty effectively. It's possible, though, I mentioned that they are the version with Niv Mizzet in the main. A lot of the Jeskai control decks have very few win conditions, and it's all interaction and card advantage. And the cost of putting a lot more threats in their deck is that if we answer those threats, they don't have enough card advantage to keep up with us. And they might not have the right interaction at the right time. So, I think this matchup is close. Ooh. Is this good enough? It might be. We have a lot of draws that just kind of make things work out. Go ahead and keep it. It's possible we need something a little more proactive, either a campaign or a Thief of Sanity or whatever. Well, obviously I'm just a genius and new. that the perfect card was right on top. Yep, opt sure. I'm going to Thought Erasure to hopefully clear out any counters, then we can campaign, and then later Thought Erasure and pick up the campaign. Search for Azcanta, yep. Oh boy, that is a scary hand. I think we have to take the Legion War Boss, because that's the card we can't beat. We have no answers for that right now. Unfortunately, it means that our Disinformation Campaign is very unlikely to work. It kept on top, yeah, so it was definitely a third land. Unfortunate. Huh. Now we can play a little bit of Draw Go with Disdainful Stroke. Their scariest cards don't work when we're doing that. Niv Mizzet obviously still does, but like a card advantage card or like a Teferi, we can Disdainful Stroke. Probably be doing okay at that point. Again, I'm just going to wait. It's unfortunate this isn't a negate, otherwise next turn we could force through a Disinformation Campaign pretty easily. So now, they do not have the mana for double counterspell. So if we Thought Erasure, they should probably just let it resolve. But if they don't, we'll get to stick the campaign, which would be nice. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. If they counter it, I'm just going to pass, leaving up Disdainful Stroke for a possible Teferi. If they don't counter it, that's what I'm going to do. If they do counter it, then I get to stick this, and that just puts us up a card, so that's cool. Again with this. Again, this is just really bad news for us. Like, I guess I could have played around this, but playing around it involves never casting Thought Erasure ever. Uh-oh. Do they have a spare negate, or... Okay, they must have a Teferi in hand. And they're, like, scrying for the land to just stick it. Well, that lets us get really ahead on cards, but... I'm pretty scared of the big mean Planeswalker. No? Okay. This game is weird. They probably want to counter this? Yep. And that lets them flip their search. Okay, we're in a lot of trouble now. We've flooded out quite badly. Well, you are much too late. Yeah, now they just get to draw a card plus a good card every turn. Unless we find like a Doom Whisperer and somehow stick it, they're going to run away with this game very fast. Yeah. This is just gonna like draw 3 cards and nug us on the end of their turn. That guy is extremely difficult to beat. Oh. Ugh, come on. They don't have anything else going on. Like, an Eldest Reborn could still get us back into this game pretty effectively, especially since we can protect it with a negate, but that's not a good exchange. That draws them a lot of cards. Ugh. You are 15 million turns too late, Thief. Also just really unfortunate. They had this Justice Strike, but they didn't have it on any of the early turns, so if we'd had this instead of the campaign, could have slipped that through and probably tried to done some work with it. Come on, kill us. You know you can. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pack it in there. They're up way too many cards. Okay, that match was much worse. Let's hope for something somewhere in the middle for the next match, or maybe just another good one. And match 3. Against another Teferi avatar. Hopefully that doesn't mean anything, because Teferi is bad news. Sure. This is sort of like that very first hand we had. Yeah. Big control decks, like Mr. Teferi over there. Yep. Oh, God. They naturally play on mid-range decks of all kinds, and this one especially. Like, if this were Huntmaster of the Fells, this matchup would be better. But it's not, so the matchup is much worse. Oh boy, this hand is not good against this. In the first match, I think we got to see Thief of Sanity just run away with things, and it seemed really good. But if there's a whole lot of people doing this stuff, then this is not the version of Blue-Black I would register. I would have 4 main deck Disinformation Campaign, a bunch of Sinister Sabotages, just be able to play a real control game instead of having our whole hand be dead every game. Well, we're up a card. Kind of just let them have to do their own Chemister's Insight here. No, they only have Opt. Cool. We've got Vraska's Contempt, so if they try to Teferi, we get to kill him before they untap 2 lands, so we're not out of this game, but we've already used up half of our only tool to play a real control game, and that's worrying. Go ahead and discard this Swamp, I guess. Alrighty. Go ahead and run this out. Hopefully they were just planning on using a removal spell on it, because we have a dive down. Okay. We are up a lot of cards right now, so trading 2 for 2 isn't the worst thing in the world, but it is the worst thing in the world if they get to do that. Oh me, oh my. I really don't think we could have played differently at any point in this game. Like, we can do this. Hopefully they counter that and we get to Contempt Teferi. That's kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pass. They don't have 4 mana, so it's not like I'm letting them resolve an Insight anyway. So now I can end step Vraska's Contempt Teferi, and if they have a counter, they're a little less likely to have the mana to stop me from contempting it on my turn. Or they're just going to do nothing, and what I said is just all bunk. Come on, do something else. Oh, God. I'm gonna let this resolve. Because otherwise, when they counter this, we're just giving them an extra land to untap. But yep, sure, Syncopate for 1. So now they have all the mana in the world. Ugh, this is so painful. Hostage Taker is so incredibly bad in this matchup. Huh. So I'm actually going to let Teferi stick around for a little while here, and instead just generate a whole bunch of card advantage, while also stripping their hand a bit. Yep, I figured they would have a counter for that, but that's one less counter for a Contempt on a later turn. That said, Teferi is going to keep drawing cards. Main phase Chemister's Insight. Okay. I mean, they still get to untap a bunch of lands, so there's very little cost to this, but still a little weird. Best draw would have been like a Thought Erasure. I got a little cute here. I'm like trying to run this out to see if they'll counter it or kill it, because then that would let us resolve a Vraska's Contempt. And I'm still going to try, like hopefully they kill it on my end step or something. That's even better. Cool. Okay. We like almost have things kind of stabilized. They've got a trillion cards in hand and 2 insights in the bank, and our hand still sucks. But we got rid of Teferi, so that is something. Deafening Clarion, sure. And they have another one, because of course they do. They've seen half their deck, so that makes sense. Yeah, okay, we're dead. Oh, I've said it before, but I am so worried about the upcoming format. Standard is really good right now, but a standard of nothing but Teferis will not be. And if there are any decent Azorius control cards, it seems hard to imagine how other colors are going to keep up. Was this how I boarded last time? I cut one more thing. I'm still 1 card over here. Oh, I cut a couple hostage takers, which means I have another card to bring in. I think I went with the 4th Eldest Reborn. Okay. We now have the tools to win the game, but we need to draw pretty specifically, whereas, like, any combination of their hands are pretty likely to let them win. So, we are definitely the underdog. Go ahead and play first. Thought Erasure into Thief is like our easiest way to win. Although, we're a little land heavy, and that is definitely how we lost the last match, so things could go wrong, but I'm not mulliganing this any day of the week. They have a trillion ways to stop Thief of Sanity? That's not great. Although these all enter tapped, so Syncopate actually cannot stop that. So if I get rid of the Justice Strike... Oh, and Disdainful Stroke is great against Crackling Drake. Unless they draw an untap land here, Thief is going to get to stick and really go to town. Okay, that's what they're looking for, but they had to tap a land in their main phase, so they do not necessarily have it. Yep, tap land. Go, Thief of Sanity, please live. I can't imagine they have too many of the Justice Strike type effect. Okay. Go. Yes! Okay. Even connecting once is great. Huh. These cards are both awesome. I'm gonna go with the Sinister Sabotage. I think I would rather just try to protect our Thief and run away with the game that way than have another threat in the bank. Yep, sure. I will not stop you from using Opt. I am totally cool with playing Draw Go as I just keep hitting them with this Thief of Sanity. Didn't get anything there, that's unfortunate. 3 lands in a row is not particularly likely, but alas. Okay, if they tried to stick the Drake, I was just going to stroke it, but... I assume they're gonna... Eventually they have to do something about this. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a Negate. We don't really need Chemister's Insight. Oh, we did bin that for them, though. That's a little unfortunate. We still would have done that if we had cast it, but giving them extra card advantage kind of sucks. Still, cards in hand is not their problem. If they want to go up more cards, that's fine. They need to fight through our ever-increasing wall of counters while this card runs away with the game. I will go ahead and attempt to negate Justice Strike. They cannot syncopate for 3 here, because we can just pay. Okay, that's 2 Justice Strikes down. Ixalan's Binding. I will go ahead and Sinister Sabotage this. Yeah, I'm looking for lands. The only thing I can't get off of Thief of Sanity are lands, and so I need to hit my own land drops naturally. So that's why I'm doing that. Wait for more counters. Or we could just play this guy. That sounds pretty hot. Cool. We don't have a counter up here, but we're moving past the part of the game where Spell Pierce would have been useful anyway. Resolves. We have the best card for that. Cool. Keep hitting our land drops. Our deck has been very kind to us here, giving us just enough to draw what we needed. Yep. Thought Erasure into Thief of Sanity. Very good. The other important thing to notice from that game was that they lost that game to their mana base. If they had had any untapped lands at all, they could have had Syncopate for 1 up on turn 2, and we would not have been able to stick the Thief of Sanity, and that game goes completely differently. It was almost entirely decided by them being a 3-color deck and their mana not working out. And that is both just sort of a price you pay in Magic. If you play more colors, your deck is going to just not work more often. But also another sign why Jeskai Control or Esper Control are going to be very scary in the upcoming format. Because they won't have to play Boros Guildgate, they get to play Hallowed Fountain. This hand is much worse than the last one, but I don't know that our average 6 is better. I think we're going to lose this game, but I also don't think mulling to 6 hoping for a very specific set of cards is how we're going to win it. Draws have also not been kind. We didn't need just 2 more lands. Oh well. Them missing their 3rd land drop is good, though. I'm going to go ahead and try to stick this first. We know they're playing Justice Strike, and so there are just fewer cards that deal with this coming down. Cool. Discovery, also a good draw at that point. They are rather unhappy, which is understandable. Like I said, I thought we were very unlikely to win this game, but hey, sometimes your opponent doesn't draw lands. Let's see, we don't need the 8th land. Chemister's Insight seems good, though. Maybe we're supposed to not take that since Disinformation Campaign is already going to draw us all the cards in the world. But it is a very good thing to discard to hand size, so. Alright, they pack it in. That's not exactly how I expected to win, but it means we were 2-1 overall. So, I think this deck is cool and pretty good, but if you expect a lot of Teferi decks, it's much worse because, oh boy, this matchup feels bad. So, if you liked this video and you want to see more like it, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel. We produce all sorts of content all the time, and it helps you see all the videos as well as helps other people find it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.